be live. Um, yep. We are live.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Come on in. Tune in. I'm making sure. All right. So we are live. We are live.
Woo!
Hello. Good evening to everyone who will catch this interview. I am Letitia Monique, and I am co-author. I am actually being interviewed today on my podcast, the Apology Accepted podcast, by the visionary herself, Miss Patty Harris.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, how are you today?
I am wonderful. I am so excited to be with you this evening. This has been a long time coming for me. I think from the very beginning of Hold the Line and you being an author, I have been wanting to interview you. So thank you for allowing me to flip the script.
Right. Awesome. I am honored.
Yes.
So I would like for us to start by you kind of telling everyone a little bit about yourself
Okay.
and also telling everyone a little bit about how Hold the Line became this book.
Yes. Well, thank you for the opportunity to do this. So, again, my name is Patty Harris, and I am the visionary of Hold the Line, which is an affiliate of Out of the Ashes. And so, in not June, March, what am I talking about? In March of 2020, the world shut down, right? Was it 2020? No, it was 2019.
I think we officially got it 2020 of March.
Okay.
Officially.
Yes, okay. And so, of course, the whole world shuts down, right?
Right.
We've never seen that before. And as crazy as that time was, it was even during that time that I went through a separation. So the worst thing that could happen in the world, and then the worst thing that I thought could happen to me, happened all at the same time. World shut down in March, separation in June. It's like, what the heck is going on, right? And then God does what He does, and Hold the Line was birthed during a pandemic, and so Hold the Line is something that is so near and dear to my heart. And it was a way for me to start on my journey of revealing, releasing, and restoring those things that have held me captive for far too long, Letitia, far too long.
Absolutely.
And as I was thinking about it, and this is prior to the book coming about, but as I was thinking about this journey, I was thinking, like, you know what, Lord, if I am experiencing this, I know that there are other women out there
Mhm.
experiencing the same thing. How many of us have, you know, not held up what we were called to do because of those things that have been buried deep inside of us that we just continue to sweep under the rug, right?
Yep.
Because if we sweep it under the rug
It
and
don't
we don't
exist.
identify it, right? We
Mhm.
don't put a name to it, then it's not real.
Yep.
And we know that's not true, right?
Yes,
And
indeed.
so I said it's too long. I have to start to release and put a name to this thing right now. And if I'm going through this, I know some other women are. Never thought about being an author, um, but this is what has been birthed. I've had an opportunity to be a part of another book project, and again, even at that time, never thought about being an author. And so to see the stories of your story and the stories of the other queens on the pages of Hold the Line is
Mhm.
just something I never imagined. And I'm just so excited for the women such as yourself that have stepped out and have been willing to tell their story,
Mhm.
to walk in deliverance for themselves, and also be able to share their story so other queens can do so as well.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the opportunity. Like,
Yes.
it definitely was a time um, where the whole world just everybody was confused. So
Yeah. What is going on? Right.
yes,
Hmm.
absolutely, absolutely. So I thank you again because even doing Hold the Line one, it was like it was very interesting. It
Hmm.
was very interesting.
Yes.
Um, but then as we were there, as we were at our launch, it was like,
Hmm.
oh, we got to do two. We got to do.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you were prepared for
Yeah.
that.
You know, so you asked the question yesterday, as we were going through the test, and you
Yeah.
asked me, you said, you know, is there a number? Right? How many volumes are you going to do? Are you going to change the name? Like, what is the next step? And I've been thinking about that ever since you asked the question
Right?
yesterday.
Mhm.
And, I thought the more I thought about it, maybe my answer that I gave you yesterday would change. And it hasn't. It's like, you know what? I can't put a number on the number of queens out there that need to tell their story. And so I'm going to continue to create the space. I'm
Mm.
going to continue to honor the space. And as long as the queens continue to show up and they're willing to tell their
Right.
story, then there will be volume after volume after volume of Hold the Line. That's just, it's,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so it's funny because I said we're about to flip the script, and I feel like you're interviewing
I'm
me now,
sorry.
and
I'm
I should be
sorry.
interviewing. So let's
Right.
go
I'm
ahead and do
sorry.
this. Yes, let's go ahead and flip this script. All right.
Let's flip it.
Yes. And so I'm excited, because as I have been able to take this journey with you
Mhm.
now, to our listening audience, Letitia and I didn't know each other prior
Yeah.
to 2020, right? She's
Yep.
all the way in Las Vegas.
Yes.
I'm here in Delaware. We are 3 hours apart.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing about this is Hold the Line has allowed our paths to cross. And
Yes.
so I just want to ask the question, Letitia, because I was whacking my brain about this. How did you come across Hold the Line all the way out in Las Vegas?
So, okay. It's funny because on Facebook, I had an original page
Hmm.
and I kept getting suspended from Facebook. I kept getting in trouble. So I created another Facebook page.
Hmm.
But when I created this Facebook page, I created it publicly.
Okay.
And your group came across
Okay.
my page and what is it, Black Queens,
Black mothers.
Black Mothers, okay.
Yes. Yes.
And so I
Okay.
was like, Black Mothers, let me see what's this
Yes.
about.
Yes.
And then I was in the group and I was engaging in the group. And then
Okay.
one day you posted that you were doing a book project.
Yes.
And if anyone was interested, then to show up at this Zoom meeting.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was like, what? Like,
Yes.
should I? Shouldn't I? Should I?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I showed up to this Zoom link with all of these women.
Yes.
And
35.
yes, I was
35
like,
women
whoa.
joined that call. Yes.
It was truly amazing to see.
Mm.
So because if you remember, not that many people responded to the actual post
Yes.
itself.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
once we got to this Zoom, because it was only a couple of people, and I was like, oh, small group, I'll
Yeah.
jump on. And
Hmm.
it was like, whoosh. I was like, whoa, where are these people?
Yes. Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
that is how I got connected
Wow.
to your project through
Yeah.
your group. Hmm.
The amazing thing about this, like when you reached out and when I asked you, I was like, Letitia, where are you?
Right, because it kept being daytime and y'all was at night.
Right. And you was like, Las Vegas. That blew my mind. I was like, Las Vegas. Like, how did this happen? And
Yes.
then, yeah, and then just others, North Carolina. And I'm just like, okay, I thought
Yes.
this was going to be a Delaware book project,
Project,
right?
right.
And no, not so. And I'm
Yes.
just, it just continues to amaze me, the
Yes.
states that the queens are from. And so that's just the beautiful thing about social media, right?
Right.
It
Right.
is, that's the beautiful thing about it.
It definitely works if you work it
Yes,
correctly.
yes. And so let me share why I wanted to interview you.
Please.
Um, as we were starting this book project, so 35 women showed up
Hmm.
and 15 decided to take this walk. And so 15 has become that magical number, right?
Hmm.
And we had another set of 15 queens in volume 2.
Yeah.
And so as I was listening to your story and you began to share that, this is something that you wanted to do
Yeah.
even prior to hearing about Hold the Line.
Yeah.
But what I so loved about your testimony, about your story, is that you talked about your mother and your father, right?
Mhm.
And you talked about going to them and having a conversation with them and sharing with them what you were going to do. Now, can I tell you, that seems to be the number one question when we are in our writing sessions, our support groups. The question is, I know that I need to tell my story. I know that this has been holding me back for far too long, but I'm not the only one a part of my story. There
Right.
are other people connected. And if I share, I am going to hurt somebody.
Mhm.
And I still need to tell my story
At the same time.
at the same time. And I'm finding it difficult to come to a sense of peace in order to do so. I'm finding it difficult to find the balance with
Yeah.
this. And what we tend to do is lean to not hurting someone else.
Yes.
So we will rather continue to go through the trauma.
Right.
We will rather continue to
Yeah.
sweep what we're feeling, those things that are holding us hostage under the rug to
Right.
prevent someone else from hurting while we're dying inside,
Yeah.
right? But you said not so this time. You
I did.
said, I have to do this,
Mhm.
right? And so that I want to talk about that piece. I want to talk about how you were able to come to the decision that I need to go speak to my mother and father. There may be some things that they don't like, and I still need to push forward in doing this. Can you talk a little bit? Can you share a little bit about how you were able to come to that conclusion?
Absolutely. 2020 was my year of true change,
Mhm.
true healing. And I always say, 2020, I began my healing journey for real,
Okay.
on purpose,
Mhm.
intentionally,
Mhm.
doing things that I said that I was going to do.
Right.
And so with that came some challenges because it was like, okay, you have to be obedient now to what you said.
Mhm.
And so May of 2020, I joined church.
Okay.
And so from there, spiritually, it life just started kind of taking me through some channels that I wasn't understanding. Um,
Okay.
but I knew I wanted to release.
Yes.
I've always said I wanted to do a book, write a book, but because whatever the reason, it was just so easy for me not to.
Yes.
Um, versus this is what I'm doing. I said I was going to do it, and I'm gonna push forward.
Yes.
Um, it was very hard because I have not had the best experience going to my mom getting responses that I felt like I wanted.
Okay.
If that made sense. And
Yes.
so it wasn't necessarily me getting their permission, my mom and dad, but it was more of a courtesy. Hey, look, guys, this is what I'm doing, and I need to do it, and I need to do it for me, and it
Yes.
has nothing to do with you guys.
Mhm.
Um, this is a part of my journey, and if
Yes.
I am going to continue on this journey of what I want to do, and that is, motivating, uplifting, and pouring into other women, I
Yeah.
have to be okay with
Mhm.
standing tall and sharing
Mhm.
my story
Yes.
without breaking down and crying
Right.
because I'm still feeling this trauma.
Yes.
You
Yes. Yes.
know, so my mom, she did say, she was like, "Oh, okay," and I don't know if she really understood what I
Right.
was saying,
Yes.
but it was just like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And my dad, he said, "Okay," and of course, he had some questions.
Yes.
He
Okay.
had some questions after his,
Mhm.
but I just had to go deeper and
Mhm.
explain to him. And, whether they agreed or disagreed,
Yeah.
I was still going forward
Right.
because I felt like this was my opportunity. You
Mhm.
provided me a space where
Mm.
I was able to have this grand opportunity in which I wanted to do previous. It's just that, like you mentioned, we kind of we worry about other people's
Yeah.
feelings and how is this going to affect
Mhm.
everybody. And I had those moments.
Yes.
I've had those moments and where I just didn't, say anything. And I always felt like if I didn't think about it or speak
Mhm.
about it, it just goes away.
Yep.
And it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
it,
No,
it
it
does
doesn't.
not. And so I was like, you know what? This is my year that I am being intentional
Yes.
about me.
Yes.
It was some things that where I thought I've healed in places that I didn't, when I would, trauma would just come to me.
Mm.
Whether it was speaking on a certain topic,
Yeah.
seeing certain people,
Mhm.
being in certain places, like
Yeah.
it triggered something. And it
Mhm.
was like I wasn't all them other years I said, it's New Year's and I'm healing and I'm, you know, and I was
Right.
and I was
Mhm.
doing all this. I really wasn't. I was just speaking out loud,
Right.
but it was no action
Mhm.
behind what I said I was going to do. And so 2020, I was determined to put action
Okay.
behind that.
Okay.
It was time. It
Yeah.
was time. It was time.
Something I love that you said, and we, we touched on this a little bit yesterday, was courtesy, not permission.
Absolutely.
So I went out of courtesy of my mother and father,
Right.
not out of permission.
No,
And
no, not at all.
yeah, and I think that is just so important that once you're ready to make that step, that if someone else is included in your story, then
Absolutely.
you go out of courtesy, but not
And it
out of
was
permission. Not seeking permission.
right. And
Yes.
I had a lot of people included in my story, but
Yes.
my mother and father are dear to me.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And those are the only two that mattered at the
Yes.
time of me making my decision.
Hmm.
And though, if you have read volume 1,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, it wasn't I wasn't trying to paint them to be the villain.
Yes.
My parents, to me today, I look at them as my heroes.
Hmm.
They are definitely some strong individuals,
Yes.
and I see the growth in them
Hmm.
both,
Hmm.
and so they didn't get to where they are today by being perfect,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I had to share.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whew. The beautiful, beautiful thing about this journey. So we talk about you went out of courtesy, not seeking permission.
Mhm.
I'm reminded of another author in the book. a mother and daughter. We have mom in volume 1, we have daughter in volume 2.
Yeah.
And so they are two that I want to interview as well. Because when we talk about permission, mom went to daughter to seek permission, right? And the daughter gave it to her.
I remember that story.
Yes. And in volume 2, daughter goes to mom to say, I need your permission to tell my story. They were speaking on the exact same situation,
Mm-hmm.
but both needed the permission of the other to tell
Yeah.
their story, right? And so I'm coming to you out of courtesy. I'm not seeking permission.
At all.
And then in another situation, I'm coming to you and I'm asking, can I tell my story? Right? I need to tell it, and I want your permission to be able to do
Yeah.
so. You know, um,
How does that work? Like, because I think if I would have been asking for permission and then it would be like, well, no,
right.
now I got to sit in my trauma longer.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Now I
yes.
got to sit in this
Hmm.
longer.
Hmm.
And that's why
Yeah.
I didn't want to be discouraged
Yeah,
from doing what I said I was going to do.
right, right. And I think that's, if anything we can share is that everybody's story is different, right?
Yes.
And how you go about it is different.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and again, why I wanted to interview you, Letitia, is because of the courage that you had to even go to your parents, the two people that you absolutely love, as you already said, are your heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And share with them that this is what I have to do because I want to be whole,
Right.
right? I want to be whole. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm not doing this to paint you in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I'm doing this so I can live my best life.
Right. Because it was for me.
Yes.
It was the writing process.
Mhm.
Shout out to Dominique. But this
Yes.
writing process, like, she really made me go deeper than what I
Yes.
was expecting to go.
Right.
And
She has a way of doing that, doesn't she?
yes, I was like, man, I just want to, kind of talk about this, talk about that.
Right.
And she was just like, but I think I'm hearing, and
Yes.
I need you to, dig deep and give it to me.
Right.
And
Right.
so, it they, parents have a way with children,
Mhm.
from baby to adults.
Yes.
And so, even in all of the what I would have felt like was wrong in my younger days,
Mhm.
all of the wrongdoing of my parents, I still never wanted to disappoint,
Yes. Yes.
and so
Yes.
it came where, I battled that. And I even battled if I even should say anything to them.
Okay.
Like, that has came across my mind too. Well, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going
Right.
to do it because
Mhm.
I need to do it for me.
Right.
But, you know, that courtesy,
Yeah.
because one day I have 4 children.
Right.
One day somebody might decide to write about me,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
but somebody, and I would want them to just
Yes.
extend that
Yes.
because, again, going forward, the book wasn't about my parents being the villain. It was just how
Yes.
my story started.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the start. And
Mhm.
most starts are not pretty.
Right. Right. But
You
that
know?
ending,
Yeah.
yes,
And I
and
love
let's not say ending, but as we
uh-huh.
get started and we're
Right.
on this journey and all the beautiful things, there are some challenges, but
There.
all the beautiful things that come out of it.
It is. And I left, you know, and I was like, well, Dominique, what do you think about this? Because I left gaps in my story.
Hmm.
On purpose.
Okay.
on purpose. And I was like, because I want to write again.
Oh, yes.
And I want, my book is going to have everything.
Everything.
Um, and then we came up with volume 2, and
Yeah.
I I definitely pondered about that for volume
Mhm.
2, because I was like, okay, so should I go? Should I
Yeah.
go deep? Um,
Yes.
but after the launch, after reading volume 1 several times,
Hmm.
I just changed it.
Yeah.
I changed it, and I wanted to write to every woman
Let's
that
talk
would
about
read.
that. Share a little bit more about that because that
So
was a beautiful thing to and so this is, can I just say this really really quick? This is the beautiful thing too. In this, you know, group, I'm going to say, the connection that comes about, right?
yeah.
And when you feel the hearts of the other queens.
Mhm.
And so for you to say, I've read the book several times and I wanted to write to the queens. Like, let me just put my story aside for a minute and let me just reach out to the other queens and write. So talk a little bit more about that.
Listen, I flew into Delaware, and I even before me moving to Nevada, I am from Richmond, Virginia,
Hmm.
and I never traveled or dabbled in Delaware.
Hmm.
So going to Delaware for this book launch was definitely the first time I actually hung out in Delaware.
Okay.
And so I was absolutely nervous to meet women that I've only seen via Zoom. I don't know nobody
Right.
else. And here I am coming far for
Hmm.
this moment. And
Yes.
that meet and greet that we had that
Mhm.
Friday night before, it was everything. The
Mhm.
way we kind of, it, everybody was kind of tense, it looked like.
Yeah.
Because it was new to us. We didn't know what to expect.
Right,
And we
right.
had people
Mhm.
coming from all over. So
Yes.
we didn't
Yes.
know. But the way you put us in that circle
Mm.
and the way we had to interact and
Yes.
be touching
Yeah.
and hugging, and the tears are
Yeah.
flowing.
Mhm.
And it was like after that meet and greet, everybody, they was just like this.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
just refreshing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so when we kept saying, well, we got to do volume 2, we got to do volume
Right.
2. I remember I just went back to the meet and greet and how heavy these queens were. Like,
Mhm.
we were so heavy in that room.
Yes.
The tears that was just, and most of us didn't know each other.
Yeah.
We just, especially me, I'm just crying with strangers. Here I am. And I'm just crying with strangers.
Uh-huh.
I remember I went back to that moment and I say, I want to be, I want to uplift at now.
Mhm.
I want this to be a resource. I want this, I need to remind everybody,
Mhm.
all the queens that will read this book, I want to remind them of who they are,
Yes.
who they said that they are,
Mm.
what they supposed to be doing, how they can do it,
Yes.
taking that time out. And so I didn't want to be heavy the second go around.
Mhm.
I wanted it to be fun and needed because, and I'm so glad. And Dominique was like, well, do you mind if we put this in the back of the book?
Yeah.
No, because whoever reads volume 2,
Yes.
you're going to be on an emotional roller coaster. But once you get to the back, once
Yes.
you get to the back of this
Yes.
book, it is more like a
Yes. Yeah.
type of
Mhm.
feeling. And that's
Mhm.
what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's, you know, those who have supported me and purchased this book from me, I've been told I cried all the way through the book
Mm.
until I got to your chapter. And it was
Right.
like, "Oh, wait, what?"
Yes. Yes.
And they was
Yes.
like, and I've had people say, I've ordered the books that you
Mm.
have shared in your resources and the things that you do
Right.
because it's not easy. And sometimes we just need as women just a go-to
Yes.
or a resource,
Yes.
or
Yes.
because we carry a lot sometimes.
Yes.
And so
A whole lot of times.
well, yeah,
We carry a whole lot of times.
yeah. So I just didn't want to be heavy in volume two.
Yes.
I really didn't.
Okay.
I
That
really
is
did not.
so beautiful.
Yeah, because volume one took a lot.
It did.
It took a lot. And
Yeah.
so you never really know. Like some things that I spoke about, it was like it happened so long ago. I'm
Right.
like, I haven't talked about this in years.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you writing,
Mm-hmm.
and all those emotions, because
Yes.
as I was writing, I was visualizing it, like visions started coming, and I could put myself in that place,
Right. Right.
and it was just like, wow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
wow.
Yeah.
And again, and I don't know how many queens might have experienced this. I've gotten flack,
Mm-hmm.
on some of the things that I've shared and said.
Okay.
And people like, oh my God, you said that your father was a crackhead. Like, what?
Right.
Why would you? But that's what it was at that
Right.
time.
At that time. Yes. Yes.
It's no way. It's no way to sugarcoat it. It's no way to
Right.
be fluff
Mm-hmm.
about trauma.
Yeah.
You can't fluff trauma.
Right.
And that's what some of us, I know me, so I should just
Mhm.
want to speak about me. I've fluffed my trauma for so long,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
This
Right.
is the real.
Right.
In my parents' era, mental health and getting the help you need wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a thing. It wasn't big. If some people did it, they did it in private.
Yes.
It wasn't spoke about. The
Mm-hmm.
rule of thumb was what goes on in this house stays
Right.
in this house.
Yes.
That is the statement I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't share a
Mm-hmm.
lot, and so I watched the transition of my mom be a single parent and go through abuse physically, emotionally,
Yeah.
all of these things play a part in children.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sometimes, and our parents, they did the best they could with what they knew.
What they had. Yep. What they had. What they knew. Yep.
And
Yep.
as an adult, I get it. As
Yes.
a kid, I didn't understand.
Right. Right.
So it was like, what is happening? Because I didn't understand. So
Yes.
I really wanted to first understand. So when I share, I'm going to start off with these dark moments.
Right.
When I do groups, when I do speaking engagements, I start off with these dark moments because
Mhm.
that was the start.
Yes.
But understanding through the process, again, I would tell anybody, both of my parents are my heroes. I love them to my core.
Did they read your chapter?
My father did.
Okay.
I don't think my mom did, but my father did. I think my father read my chapter at the launch.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
And he was heavy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was
I'm
heavy
sure.
because reading it and hearing it is two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You seeing these words now come from your daughter.
Yes.
And so he called me and just apologized.
Mm.
And even though he has apologized time and time again prior to, um, he really just understood that he was not the best,
Mm-hmm.
but had made every effort going forward to be what I need. Even
Yeah.
in my adult life, even with a husband,
Mm.
he is still trying to be dad.
Yes.
Even in the midst of all of this, because again, back I'm an 80s baby. So
Yes.
in that era, it was a lot of drugs, it was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
partying.
Mm-hmm.
People won't they was
Right.
just everybody was doing whatever, right?
Right.
Now you have these 80 babies
Yes.
And some of us are stronger than others. Some of us can mask for a really, really long time,
Mm-hmm.
in which I did.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing my therapist asked me, he said, how strong do you want to be? And for
Mm.
how long?
How strong and for how long? All right.
And I was like, what that mean? You know, uh, and he said, when are you going to release that? And I was just like, well, I don't know. I didn't have an answer.
Right.
But as I thought about both of those questions, I just realized I don't want to be the strong one. I want to, because being strong means I am not dealing with it. I'm
Mm.
just masking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what being strong
Mm.
meant for
Mm.
me, and so I didn't want to be strong anymore. And I
Yeah.
wanted to tell it, and I wanted to share, and I wanted to say, um, it wasn't until I started talking to other women and like sharing bits and pieces, like, oh, I was raised in a single parent home too.
Right.
Just little conversation. I
Yes.
started to realize it is so many stories, and then
Yes.
once I started doing groups,
Mm-hmm.
actually sharing my story that way, I realized that I was helping so many other women.
Yes. The survival guide, right?
Right.
Your
Those
story
who,
is another queen survival guide. Yes.
because people are afraid to talk,
Yes.
because what goes on in this house
Mhm.
stays in this house, and we hold on to that. And I
Yes.
was like, I'm not even in that house no more.
Right. Right.
Why I gotta hold on to it?
Right. Right.
I was just, starting to think about all of this stuff. Like,
Mhm.
I am an adult. I have my
Yes.
own children. I have my
Yes.
husband.
Yes.
I live in my own house. Like,
Yes.
why am I just voluntarily holding on to
Mhm.
this trauma?
Yes.
Let
Yeah.
it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. And I feel so much better.
Yes.
And again, this was the volume one was just the start.
Just to start.
It was just the start.
Yes.
And I came up, my title for volume one is The Born Child.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
um, I've gotten questions about that, like, how in the world did you come up with that title? Like, out of
Uh-huh.
all of the things to name
Right.
your chapter, you came up with that. And I said, well, that is mentioned, in the book, but for so long, most of my childhood life, I didn't have a sense of belong. Like,
Mm.
where do I belong?
Yes.
Because when you're raised in a single parent household, you got your father's side and your daddy's side.
Yeah.
And so um, it, I was in the situation where my father's side really didn't like my mom's side. And
Okay.
my mom's side, I'm not gonna say didn't like my father, but because of who he was at that time, he
Yes.
wasn't likable.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, he wasn't likable. So it, it was just like I was always uncomfortable
Yeah.
going on my dad's side, because it was like I don't belong. Like, I don't have a sense. I don't.
Mhm.
I feel no connection. I
Yeah.
don't. And so for so long, I just kind of just winged it. And because my parents are who they are to me, when my father was in and out of jail or prison or whatever he was doing, when he was home, he tried to get his children together
Okay.
and then bring us around family,
Yeah.
right? But when my father was gone, then all of that stopped.
Okay.
It was no more get together. It was no
Yeah.
more, hey, come over. It was no,
Mhm.
all of those things stopped. And I think, my once my father came out, he did his last years in prison. He came out, I think, 97.
Okay.
And it was more so he was kind of trying to pick up where he left off.
Yes.
But by this time, I'm in high school.
Right. So much
All this,
time has passed.
yeah, all this time has
Yeah.
passed. And one thing I did not realize is
Hmm.
every time I spoke to my father, I was reliving trauma because the questions were, hey, come over and see your grandmother, or, come over here and do
Right.
this. And I was always uneasy
Yeah.
trying to figure out, how do I even fix my face to
Right.
say, hey, look, I don't want to go.
Right.
I can't do this.
Yes.
And let me tell you why, because it was so many things that kind of transpired that he didn't know about,
Yes.
but I didn't know he didn't know about.
Right.
Um, my mom never told me I couldn't go over his side of the family.
Okay.
So it was like I kind of wanted to, I had cousins, I had
Yeah.
people my age to play with, things like that. And so I kind of wanted to, but it was just always this feeling, this just
Yeah.
awkwardness, this
Awkward.
just,
Yeah.
and I couldn't, I was a kid, I didn't know what
Right.
it was.
Couldn't pinpoint it. Couldn't
Right,
understand it. Couldn't comprehend. But
right. I
yes.
just knew that I always like felt crazy
Yeah.
once there. And so I would never forget the moment I had with my father's sister. Um, I was at my grandmother's house
Hmm.
and she sat down beside me on the sofa and she apologized to me. And so as she apologized, and I was kind of confused, but
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's just roll with it because I didn't know what she was apologizing for.
Right.
And so she goes, I told people when you were born that you were not my brother's child.
Mm.
And she said, I told whoever would listen.
Mm.
And so I'm just looking like, what?
Yes.
You know, and my mom never shared that with me,
Hmm.
and so me hearing that from her was the first time me hearing that.
Yeah.
Right. And so it that's when it all kind of came full circle, like, so this is why I feel
Yes.
like,
Yes. Because there were questions around me, and you
right,
can feel that from the others because they don't know that is she his, is she not his? Right.
right.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so when you do that,
Yeah.
now you have put this out in the atmosphere
Right.
about this baby,
Right.
and so people move differently.
Yeah.
Though they say, "Oh, I love you.
Right.
I love you. You're my niece, or you're my cousin,
Right.
I love you." The actions were just off.
Right.
It was not genuine. So
Genuine.
when I got old enough to learn that word
Yes.
and understood what that meant,
Right.
I knew I wasn't around genuine love,
Mm.
if that makes sense. And
It makes
so
a whole lot of sense. Yes.
it was very hard. And so I was literally the born child
Mm.
because, you know, one person, one person put so much negativity out
Hmm.
there for others.
Yes.
And now, people have their own
Yep.
assumptions
Hmm.
or now their own
Hmm.
opinion
Hmm.
about a child,
Yeah.
you know. And so I was born on my father's birthday. So
Oh wow.
yes,
Okay.
yes, we share the same birthday. And
Okay.
so I don't know if that made it easier or harder
Yeah.
back in during those times for
Right.
the divide of what was taking place.
Yeah.
Okay. And so my dad has a daughter that came 3 months after I did.
Mm.
So, he was living his best life.
Yeah. 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 Mhm.
Living his best life,
Yeah.
really not aware of how this will definitely affect
Effect. Yeah.
the children.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, your sister came to the launch, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Yes. And
Yes,
that
she
was
did. Yes, she did.
beautiful thing. You had said something about when you share your story and others um, feel like they are going through on their own. Like no one else is experiencing what I'm experiencing
Yes.
until they hear your story. This is why it's so important
Yes.
for us to tell our stories, because there's a lot of us out there who are feeling like we're on this island all by
By
ourselves
herself.
and no one else is experiencing what I'm experiencing.
Right.
Right. And so you also said, someone said, you said all of that, like you shared that. Right. And it's like, if I'm going to step out here
Mhm.
and I'm going to make a decision to tell the story, why sugarcoat it? If I'm going to sugarcoat it, I might as well keep my mouth shut, because that's all I've been doing up to this point.
Right.
It's just continuing to sweep things under
Exactly.
the rug and sugarcoat. So if that's what I'm going to do, I'll just continue to do what I've been doing.
Right.
But if I made the decision to step out and tell my story, then I'm going to tell my story.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's why I say we can't sugarcoat trauma.
Yes.
Either I want to be able to get the help that I need,
Right.
I'm going to have to do some things that's uncomfortable,
That is uncomfortable. It
and
doesn't feel
so,
good.
and, and even throughout my book, I was not the perfect person.
Yeah.
Listen, I got married young. To all my listeners,
Yeah.
like, lean in for me.
Right.
I married young. I was a teen mom,
Mm-hmm.
abusive relationship prior to meeting
Mm-hmm.
my husband. Got with my husband. It was like a sense of security.
Yeah.
I finally had that dad type
Yes.
of
Yes. Mm-hmm.
feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some people are like, wait, what? Your dad, your husband, your dad,
Right.
listen to me. I grew up without a positive male role
Right.
model. Now I
Right.
had some males in my life
Mm-hmm.
that was living their life. Okay.
Yes.
And so my husband came along, and it was more so that love and that nurture that I wanted from a dad
Yes.
standpoint.
I got
And
you.
so we had 2 children, and it was not until my husband sat me down and said, I think you need to definitely see someone.
Mm.
Because when I thought of uh, therapy, when I
Yeah.
thought of parents counseling,
Yes.
first thing come to my mind is, I'm not crazy.
Not crazy. Right.
I am not crazy.
Right.
Why do I need to see
Mm-hmm.
and do and be over here and this? And he really helped me see the bigger picture,
Yes. Yeah.
because he could see that I was dealing with some stuff, and
Mm.
and how sometimes my aura would change, my
Yes.
demeanor would change. Where
Yes.
I don't even notice,
Right.
but just certain people or certain topics, it's like a shutdown. It's like
Mm-hmm.
and he was able to see that, and I'm just glad he was paying attention.
Right.
I'm
Thank
glad,
God.
I'm just glad that he was in tune
Yes.
with me enough to say, "Hey, look," and
Something's not right.
I'm glad that I did a little pushback,
Yeah, of course.
for a while, because I'm like, I am
Right.
perfectly fine,
Right.
you know.
Matter of fact, you're the one that's crazy.
That part right there, I think
Right.
you should go see somebody.
Right.
Um, but then I realized, you know what? I gotta see somebody.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Mhm.
And the thing was, to all of my listeners, men or women, you may not find the right therapist your first go round.
Yeah.
don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop. It's, keep trying, keep searching for that one that is compatible with you.
Yes.
Okay. When I went through several
Okay.
therapists, because each one I went, when I sat down and it was just will tell me, and they're just writing, and there's really no feedback. It's really
Yeah.
no. I didn't go no more.
Yeah.
I went
Or
on to
connection. Like, can
mm-hmm.
we get to know one another before you ask me 10 million questions? And when I
Right,
say that, meaning
mhm,
there's a way that you build a relationship, build a connection,
right,
right?
right,
Yeah. Let's not just go into doctor patient mode.
right.
Yeah.
And so my last therapist was actually a guy.
Okay.
Um, he was just he made me seem like he was just so intrigued with me
Yes.
that he gave me homework. I understand at the time,
Uh-huh.
but I
Right.
understand now,
Mm-hmm.
and it was always, ask yourself,
Mm.
well, how long do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now how do you feel? Well,
Yeah.
it was definitely a different feeling
Yeah.
with my last therapist. And so therapy is one of those things where you have to make sure you're comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, then you're not going to get the treatment because you're not going to share.
Right. The
And
same
that's
thing as writing a book, right? Or
right.
telling your story,
Yep.
right?
You,
You're going to continue to sugarcoat
yep.
if you're not ready,
If you're
right?
not,
If you don't have the right
mhm,
therapist, then you're
yep.
not going to open up and
You're
you're going
only
to
going to
continue to
tell
hold
some of
on.
the things. You're
Yeah.
not going to,
Yeah.
dig deep. And a good therapist will dig into you
Yeah.
without you even realizing that's what they're
Realize it.
doing.
Yeah. That's
And
like a
just
Dominique. Dominique was our therapist in Hold the Line, right?
yes,
I
yes,
think I hear you saying, is
yes,
this what you're really trying to say? And it's like, no,
she,
I said what I was saying. She was like, no,
no, yeah,
this way.
that was her. And
Yeah,
I was
yes,
just like, oh
yeah,
my gosh. And she did
yeah,
it in such a classy way,
yes, yeah,
And I was like, you know what? You're right. I
yeah.
do have something else to add that I was trying to hold back
Right.
because I didn't want to say.
I didn't want to say it, but it's
Right.
time. It's
But I
time.
had to say it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to share. So when you talked about, others when they heard your story and was then able to open up for themselves, right? Because they felt comfortable in knowing that I'm not the only one. We
Right.
have so volume 3 of Hold the Line. Yes, our launch is in March. So excited to our listening audience. If you want to attend, reach out to me, reach out to
Yeah.
Letitia. She's
Yeah.
not in volume 3, however, she's
Yeah.
connected and can make sure that you
Right.
will make it to the launch. But one of the things I wanted to share, we dedicated volume 3 to, for the first time, we dedicated a book and to Miss Ivy Cruz. And
Okay.
yeah. And so what I wanted to share was her story did not land on the pages of Hold the Line.
Okay.
Here's the beautiful thing about it, though. She joined in the group and she began to tell her story. And based off of, and because she told her story, let me say this, because she told her story briefly, she gave 3 other women the confidence to tell their story.
Wow.
They're in the book.
Oh wow.
She is not.
He is not.
She is
Wow.
not. And she has passed away.
Oh.
She has passed away. So we have dedicated this book
Oh
to
wow.
her because she got on the call. She opened up. Others were able to open up because
Wow.
she did. And I'm sorry. Volume 3 is dedicated to her. The authors that she encouraged to tell their story are in volume 2.
Okay.
Or in volume 2. Yes,
Okay.
but I always knew that the next volume would be dedicated to
To
her.
her.
Yes.
Oh, that
And
is
so that,
okay.
it's just that if we just share, if we
Yeah.
are just get to a place where we can just open up. It's not only for us, there are other women. And that's why I always talk about, you know what, if you stretch forth your hand, I'll stretch back,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But in order for someone to feel comfortable to stretch forth their hand, we got to be able to make that connection, right? I got to be able to tell my story. I got to be able to create a safe space
Mm-hmm.
where we can feel comfortable. And that is what is so important to me, is creating this safe space where queens can come and just open up
Yes.
and just share when you're ready.
When you're ready. That's what
When
I was
you're
about to
ready.
say. When you
Yes.
are
When
ready.
you are
And,
ready to just
and
open up.
you will know it. You will know it. And it's
Yes.
so refreshing.
Yes, it is.
It is
Yes, it
so
is.
refreshing once Dominique give you the green light and say your final is complete.
Yes.
It is refreshing.
Woo!
You
Yes.
have no more corrections.
Yes.
It is
Then
so
you are
refreshing.
done. So,
But
Letitia, let me ask you. I know that we are now over an hour. Or no, we're not.
just
It looks
about.
like we are, but we're not. So we have a few more minutes.
Mhm.
So yay. But I want you to share just a few more pearls, a few more nuggets, because there are some queens out there. So to our listening audience, what I would like to say is we have just launched volume 3 of Hold the Line. Volume 4 is on the horizon.
It's coming.
Yes, we're going to celebrate volume 3, March 25th, March 24th. So Letitia spoke about the queens coming together. So the beautiful thing about our launch is on Friday night is the first time that all the queens have the opportunity to come together. For the time in which we are writing, we're only on Zoom.
Yeah.
So we're only seeing each other virtually.
That's
And
it.
so that Friday night before the launch, as Letitia has already said, is the first time that we're able to come together, touch, hug, cry. And it is such a beautiful experience. So that will be on March 24th. But you are invited to come to the launch on the 25th. I will have more information posted on my Facebook page. Letitia will share some information. And so if you would like to attend, please come out. And more importantly, and I'm drawing closer to the camera, if you are a queen out there and you know that you have some things within you that you need to reveal, release, and restore,
Yes.
and you know that you want to tell your story, I ask that you reach out to me as well. Volume 4 is on the horizon, and your story will be another queen's survival guide. And so, Letitia, I want you to close us out just with a few nuggets, a few pearls, because there are some queens out there listening, and they're back and forth with, do I tell, do I not tell? Do I continue to sweep under the rug, or do I let go? What would you encourage them to do? Yeah.
You know, I want all the queens to know. Be encouraged. Be encouraged because your story, like we've been saying this whole time, this hour, can help another queen.
Yes.
You just never know. And in the process of you thinking about it, like, oh, shouldn't I? You know, ask yourself, have you been able to even speak about your story without a sense of heaviness,
Mm.
without a sense of sadness and grief, and like, without the emotions, because that's important.
Yes, it is.
That is important. And it's not about anyone else. Listen to me closely. Your story is not about anyone else. It's not about you telling someone business, or telling the secrets of the home, and
Yes.
it's not about that. Your story is solely about you in getting that freedom of mind freedom, of healing freedom, that you need. Because in order to really be free of that, you gotta let it out.
Yes.
Keeping it in, you still got it. You still holding
Yeah.
on to it,
Yeah.
carrying it. It's weighing on you. You
Yes.
don't even realize that some, you know, throughout your day, throughout your contacts or who you might come in contact with, you might have those triggering trauma moments that you're not even aware of
Mhm.
because you still got it all inside. You're still
Yes.
holding it.
Yes.
Release it.
Release it.
Release it. It
Yes.
is so much better. It feels good.
Mhm.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but our books have made it to women in the jail.
Yes, they have.
Um, that has been our goal,
Yes.
and so imagine you, all of our upcoming queens, because see, it's gonna be a large number
Mhm.
for this next volume.
Yes.
Just imagine your story saving someone's life
Yes.
once they come home.
Mm.
Just imagine your story saving someone's life while they still in.
Yes.
I had a mother reach out to me and tell me that my story helped her because she felt like I was describing her
Mm.
when I was talking about my
Talking.
mother.
Yes.
And with her being incarcerated and recently coming home, she didn't know how to connect
Yes.
because she had all that guilt that she was holding. So
Mhm.
I didn't only release myself, I
Yes.
released my parents.
Yes. Mm.
Don't hold that guilt.
Yes.
Because I'm good now. I am good now.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
hold on to that.
Yes.
Don't, and I have to remind my father and I have to remind my mother in the mix of apologizing, I accept it. We don't have to keep going back to that.
Mhm.
I accept it and I understand and
Mm.
I have grown with
Yes.
them both.
Yeah. Mm.
The object now is, let me tell you, I tell everybody, my parents were not the best in my eyes as a kid because I
Yeah.
didn't understand that,
Right.
you're doing the best that you knew.
Mhm.
I'm a kid, so I wanted other things.
Yes.
As an adult, I understand,
Mhm.
right? And so my parents are hands down the best grandparents could ever have imagined
Yes.
for my children.
Yes.
And so my thing is the two people that my kids see and the people that I know ain't
Yeah.
the same.
You're right.
Okay.
And that's okay.
But
And
I
that's
am
okay.
so glad that
Yes.
they didn't stay in that era
Yes.
where it would have caused them to have a different relationship with my children.
Yes. Mm.
Hands down, the best grandparents. And I was kind of, I was like, after having kids, I
Yeah.
knew how they were with me. And I
Yes.
was just like, how this finna look?
Right.
Because I didn't have a relationship with my grandparents,
Right.
and so
To see it now.
to see and to have that for my children means everything.
Yes.
Means everything. I went, and the way I look at it is, I went through that so my children can have the best of them.
Mm.
So I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Yes.
I will take it because I was strong enough to take that and carry that.
Yes. Yes.
I will
And
take it.
and by you, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Letitia, by you stepping out and being willing to tell your story, you just opened up the door,
Mhm.
right, for that relationship with
Yeah.
your children. Because I'm assuming, had you not did that, you probably would have had a whole lot of reservation with allowing your parents to have a relationship with your
Yeah,
children.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, oh, so
It,
beautiful.
everything is connected.
Yes.
Everything is connected. And I didn't want to hold grudge. I
Yeah,
didn't, holding a grudge take a lot of work
it does.
because I have to remember that I have this grudge.
Right. Right.
And I can't be my authentic self because I got to
Yes.
remember I got this grudge. And
Yes.
so it takes a lot of work. It
Yes.
takes a lot of work. Healing for real, if you're really serious, healing for real is painful.
Yeah.
It
It
is
is.
painful. And in some people, I listen to their stories, and their healing process is very joyous. It's very, rainbows and butterflies.
Mm,
Mine is not.
yeah. Yeah.
My healing process has been heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It has hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It has brought me pain.
Yes.
It has been difficult,
Yeah.
right? But as I go through and continue with the process,
Yes.
it is feeling so much better
Mm,
because I'm no longer afraid. I
yes.
am no longer struggling with, can I say some? Should
Yeah.
I say some?
Right.
How is this going to affect the whole
Yeah.
world?
Mm-hmm.
All of that has held me back from previously sharing my story. I no longer have those thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I
You
want to thank you. I want to thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for this platform. And more
absolutely.
importantly, thank you for allowing me to interview you. Thank you for telling your story. And I want to end with this poem to you.
Well, come
Letitia,
on.
you don't look like what you've been through,
Mm,
and nowhere near where God's taken you to. You may not know where this journey will lead, but hold the line and continue to believe. Believe that He has you in the palm of His hands. So, Letitia, keep the faith and continue to stand. You may not know where this journey will lead, but hold the line and continue to believe. I love you. I
Thank
appreciate you.
you, Queen. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you all who has tuned in. Thank you guys so much for supporting.
Yes.
This has been awesome. It has been amazing, and I will be sharing as soon as Patty put it out that the next volume is
Yeah.
coming, or if you're interested.
It's here. It's published. It's
Yes, if you're
it's on
interested in volume
Amazon.
3.
Yes, the
Yeah,
official launch is the
yeah,
weekend of March
yeah.
24th.
Yes,
All the information will be on Facebook. And Letitia, I'll make sure you have it so you can share it out.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So thank you. Thank all of the listeners.
Yes.
Until next time, Queen.
Yes.
Love
Peace.
you. Peace.